Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon, Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 5 above, then Thursday, sunshine with temperatures around 4 below. In need of a colorful, high-energy indoor experience for your kids this winter? Go Dog Go! Fay Perove opens this week at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. childrenstheater.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, this episode is presented in partnership with the City of Minneapolis for Minneapolis AIR, American Indian Relations, who hosts a monthly conversation on the second Wednesday of the month regarding happenings that impact our Native communities in Minneapolis. We're so grateful for the partnership to keep up to date on topics that can better support the largest urban Indian population in the country. And I'll pass along things to a Minneapolis AIR community specialist and guest host, Christine McDonald. Welcome. Hoa.
Thank you, Robert. It's great to be back with you today for this special episode. Bonjour, Ogadaki Gavawik Ndijnakas, Ajajak Ndundem. I'm Christine McDonald. I'm the American Indian Community Specialist with the City of Minneapolis. And tonight we have a very special guest. We have our mayor, Jacob Frey. He is joining us today to talk about how the city is responding to the community needs in the wake of ICE and Border Patrol activities in our city. Thank you, Mayor, for being with us tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and share information with our community through this radio show.
Well, Christine, I'm really honored to be here with everybody on Native Roots Radio. Thank you, Robert. Thank you to the whole team. You all are providing a very critical service, which is disseminating information to a ton of people throughout our Native community.
Right, thank you. So, what is your message to families who are feeling afraid right now?
The message is quite simply, you are part of our family. We stand with you. We are not backing down. Minneapolis right now is, and the people of Minneapolis are an inspiration. They are standing up to make sure that they're providing help and service for those in need, to provide an escort to get to work or groceries where people need food. This is what's happening right now. Is it's not just about resistance, it's about love. It's about people coming together in a beautiful way. And what we see are constitutional violations that are taking place again and again by these ICE agents in the federal government. What we see is people getting plucked off the street without regard for their citizenship status. What we see is discrimination taking place where people are simply identified because they have brown skin, they're Somali, Latino, or even Native. And the fact that we are talking about Native people getting plucked up for immigration enforcement, if it weren't so horrific, it would be comical because, of course, there wasn't immigration at all. You all have been here forever, and we are so proud to have you in our city. We're proud to partner with you, and we will do everything possible to help. And the fact that our Native community is in of itself getting targeted is horrific, and we're going to do everything possible to help.
Yeah, thank you. This is not, unfortunately, anything new for our people. How is the city standing with our cultural and
Christine, I
immigrant
think you might be on
communities?
mute yourself, or else I'm not hearing you.
I am not on mute. Robert, did you mute me?
No, I can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes. Can you hear me, Mayor?
I can hear you. I just can't hear Christine.
You can't hear me.
Oh, well,
You can hear
Christine,
me.
maybe if you just jump off and come back in sometimes,
Okay.
reboot, and then I can take it here for a minute or so. Mayor Frey, we really appreciate you coming on, and well, I want to say this as a native. Um, Thank you so much for sticking up for us, for the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis. You really make us proud the way you have stepped up, and you always are. I see you everywhere, wherever things are happening, whether it's a native ceremony or if it's a protest against this federal government. So I just want to say a big peeny gigi thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, Miigwech. Deeply appreciated.
You know, one of the things that you do not seem afraid of what's going on, and I really appreciate that too, because that really gives us strength, and we need leaders like you, because I'm sure you know that, but I want to just say this, that it's so important that you don't show fear because of a bully out there. And again, I just can't thank you enough for 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 being that way and doing that. So I again, I just am really appreciative and really excited that you were able to come on Minneapolis Air. Christine, give us a count and see if we can hear you.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Now I can
All
hear
right.
you.
Can
Absolutely.
you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Good to have you.
Say it, because you
Yeah,
say it
welcome
better
back.
than I do.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So we were getting into how this is nothing new for my community, sadly. And it was wonderful to have you come out and visit with us yesterday. You made a trip to Powell Grounds. But how is the city standing with our cultural and immigrant communities during these difficult times?
Yes. We are working together on a bunch of different levels right now. First, look, we stood up our emergency operations plan to make sure that we've got communications that are straight, to make sure that we're reaching out to diverse communities all throughout our city, and we're sharing information as we get it in. We have legal supports that are in place so that people who are having their due process rights where they're entitled under the Constitution, they can have a legal defense themselves and can work directly with a lawyer. We are making sure that people are getting food through our community service officers. They're dropping off food for people that are scared to go outside because they don't want to get ripped away from their families. We're making sure that people have the service that they need and that information is flowing properly. And I signed an executive order that barred ICE from using our municipal parking lots and ramps so that they're not parking their vehicles on our property while they're trying to take away or deport people who are part of our city and are our neighbors. So there's a bunch of different work that is happening right now, and we need to make sure that work continues. And that list is just a number of examples. But to see our Native community step up, to see the Minneapolis at large community step up has been so heartening. You know, in our city, of course, it's about resistance, but it's also about something that is far more profound and powerful, which is love. It's this notion that no matter who you are or where you come from, in any of the four directions, Minneapolis is a place where you should be proud to call home. And it's a place where we are united together in love and in partnership.
Thank you. How can people get involved or share their concerns with the city?
Yeah. Well, first, I always welcome a outreach to the mayor's office so that I can hear from you directly. But beyond that, look, if something bad is going down, if somebody's getting assaulted or hurt, or there's gun violence taking place, for instance, call 911. We have a separation ordinance in the city. And what that ordinance says is that our police officers, our public officials, will not coordinate with ICE around immigration enforcement work. We will not work with any federal agency to do immigration enforcement work. So you can trust our police officers to help keep people safe. You can trust them if something's going down that you can call 911. And by the way, you should also feel free to call 311 as well. 311 is a good place where you can provide information and get information regarding what's happening at the city. It's a good way to stay in touch, and we're making sure that those outlets are ready and available to you.
Hey,
Thank you.
we'll be right back.
Into a break.
Hey, right on. We'll be right back. You're listening to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this episode is supported by the City of Minneapolis, Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations, and here's our guest host, Christine McDonald. Ho!
Thank you, Robert. We are back. We have our Minneapolis Mayor, Jacob Frey, on with us. I think he might have maybe lost his connection for a second.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, can't see you.
Oh, no. I can see you just fine. That's weird.
That is
a
little bit of technical difficulties here today. Before we went to break, my question had been, how can people get involved and share their concerns with the city? I think one of the things that I just wanted to bring up and mention is the relationship that the city has with our American Indian community. There's a legacy that exists, actually, that I don't think we uplift enough. They've had a position like mine that's existed for over 50 years. But also, more importantly and more recently, we were able to have some face-to-face time with members of the American Indian community and the mayor, and also our 3rd Precinct inspector. When we talk about and hear about some of the concerns about police, especially during this time when you're seeing federal agents in our city, it's just important to share, because this is seen farther than just Minneapolis, that we have worked really hard over the past 50 years to create a better relationship with our police department. And I think we can see the results of that happening with the relationship that we have with our 3rd Precinct Inspector, Gomez, at this time. And I just want to thank you again for that opportunity to hear some of the concerns and some of the requests that came from our community yesterday. So when he says that he wants to hear directly from people, he does. He did. He listened to us yesterday. And so we'll go right back into our conversation. And Mayor, I'll ask you, what should families do if they see immigration enforcement in their neighborhood?
Yeah. So if you see immigration enforcement in your neighborhood, look, you have rights. You have rights regardless of your citizenship status. You have rights as a human being here in this country through habeas corpus and due process. If you see somebody's rights getting violated, if you see somebody getting hurt, if you see anybody getting assaulted, regardless of whether that's through a civilian or anyone else, you can call 911. You can let people know what's going on, and you can make sure that we're communicating properly across all channels. You also have the ability to know your rights. For instance, you don't need to open the door to a private residence unless there is a judicial warrant, which is a warrant that is handed out by a judge. An administrative warrant is not good enough. They need to have a judicial warrant for them to open up, for you to have to open up the door. And in most cases, from what we've seen, they don't have one. And so make sure you're thinking about that. You have the right to get an attorney. You have the right to stay silent. And so knowing these rights is of critical importance, especially as you're having some form of run-in with the federal government. And we know that from the past, we have not always seen them abiding by these very constitutional protections that are deeply important for who we are as a country.
Right. Can people still trust city services in 911 without fear?
You could trust 911. When you call 911, you have access to our police officers, and our police officers will not be doing immigration enforcement work. We will not coordinate with ICE or any federal agency around immigration enforcement. Our police officers, they're charged with keeping people safe. And so I want our police officers responding to 911 calls when a shooting takes place, preventing homicides from happening, preventing carjackings from taking place, and working directly and hand in hand with our community members in doing so. We've made some major strides over, especially the last several years, of building out trust and making sure that people who need help from a police officer in our city feel both comfortable and confident in calling them. And I know that people are seeing the difference between how our police officers conduct themselves and the way a number of these ICE agents do. I mean, it is wholesale different. There are staggering differences in the abiding by the Constitution, and we want to make sure that we continue to build that trust.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Our 911 operators, our police officers, don't ask about immigration status?
That's right. Our police officers will not ask as to whether you are documented or not, because that's not part of how we keep people safe. And because we haven't gathered any information, we don't have any. And because we don't have any information, when Donald Trump or anybody says, hey, give us all your information on undocumented immigrants, our answer is simple and it's the truth, which is we don't have any.
Thank you. Do you know what would be the role of the National Guard in Minnesota if they are deployed?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. The National Guard can be deployed by the governor of Minnesota. So Governor Walz can deploy the National Guard to keep people safe. They can be deployed to put up sandbags if there's a flood. They can be deployed to hand out food if there's a hunger or shortage. There's a number of things that they can do, but the most important thing here to remember is that our governor has the authority to do so. And so while the National Guard was not deployed and present in Minneapolis over this last week, there was a number of them that were on standby in case they were necessary and we needed them. And so the bottom line is we don't know exactly how they might be utilized, but they are available in case they are needed.
I appreciate you clarifying that, because there were a lot of photos going around, a lot of assumptions, people making posts about they're here, they're on the streets. And so just clarifying that they were on standby in case they were needed this past weekend, and they're not currently in Minneapolis at this time.
That is correct. They are not in Minneapolis. They have not been in Minneapolis through this operation. However, they were on standby.
Thank you. So Mayor, how can our community stay safe while speaking out and still exercising their First Amendment rights?
I think you said it accurately, which is we have a long tradition in Minneapolis. We have a long tradition in the American Indian movement of freedom of speech and First Amendment rights, of speaking out when there is injustice. And of course, we encourage people to use their First Amendment rights. We also encourage people to not take the bait. First Amendment rights stop at the next person's nose. And so speaking out, we encourage it. Any form of violence or property damage, we cannot be giving Donald Trump or anybody else an excuse to further militarize the presence in Minneapolis. Let's not take the bait. Let's not counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos here. I believe in Minneapolis we can stand up for each other, speak out peacefully, and grin down the bear. And I see people all across the city protesting, tens of thousands of people protesting and standing up for one another, sledding down a hill of ice to attend protest, and in the both in the streets and in the halls of justice. I mean, these are people that are just standing up for their neighbors in this beautiful way and making sure that they have what they need through this trying time.
Yeah, thank you. So do you have anything else you'd like to share?
I love you guys. This is a family here. We are a family of human beings, of people that love our city and that look out for one another. And we have seen that again and again, where we have a courage of our convictions. We know the right thing to do. And this is a moment when we need to be standing with each other and doing everything possible we can to protect our great family that we've got here in Minneapolis. And I'm just so inspired by everybody throughout this city and beyond. And I've never been prouder to be from Minneapolis.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I hope you stay well, take care of yourself. Really, thank you so much for coming and sharing the information that you can with us.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Robert. Thank you to everybody here on Minneapolis Air.
Right on. Hey, wow, that's a great segue. Hey, again, big peeny geegy to the mayor, and we're going to be right back. You're listening to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio.
Thank you.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Pretty much everybody I talk to is ready to leave 2025 behind, so what better way to do that than quite literally have Zero Res come over and clean that 2025 dirt out of the house. Pretty much any surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, and so much more. Zero Res can take care of it all, so it's time to call the cleaning pros. Start your freshest year yet in 2026 with Zero Res's biggest sale ever in celebration of the new year, and wash 2025 right out of your home with this deal. This month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and a free hallway, plus 15% off regularly priced services like air ducts, upholstery, area rugs, tile, hardwood, and more. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 5 above, then Thursday, sunshine with temperatures around 4 below. For 45 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Chinese favorites like pan-fried dumplings, hot and sour soup, and sesame chicken. The Great Wall Restaurant is located on the Minneapolis-Edina City line on France Avenue, a few blocks north of 50th Street. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, hicha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this episode is supported by the city of Minneapolis with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. And here's our guest host, Christine McDonald. Oh, I always like
Thank
saying
you. Yeah, that is wow. Thank you, Robert. Welcome back. I'm Christine McDonald, the American Indian Community Specialist with the City of Minneapolis. Our next guest joining us tonight is Enrique Velasquez. He is the Director of the Regulatory Services Department with the City of Minneapolis. Welcome, Enrique. I'm so happy to have you with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Christine and Robert. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you tonight.
Let's get right into our conversation. Can you tell our audience about yourself and what you do at the city?
You bet. So to give a little background, I'm an Army brat. I was born in South America, grew up in Europe and Southeast Asia before coming stateside. So I'm used to working in a variety of different communities and serving as an ambassador of the United States to all these other places that I've lived in around the world. And I've worked in high tech for 20 years before coming to join the city almost 10 years ago. I've worked in public works for 3 years, community planning and economic development for 3, and I've been in regulatory services for the last 3+.
That's amazing. I'm sorry. What can you tell us what Regulatory Services Department does for the residents here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the short answer is we protect the health, safety, and welfare of Minneapolis residents, both humans and animals, by regulating, inspecting, and ensuring compliance with all laws and ordinances. In the end, it's all about community livability is what we do. So if we have a visual of a four-legged stool, and that four-legged stool is the city of Minneapolis, those 4 legs are public health, public safety, economic participation, and housing stability. So if one of those legs gets a little weak or starts to crumble, community livability will suffer. So we work in concert with each one of these different areas to make sure that we maintain public trust. We deliver high quality services to community members who live in, work in, do business in, and play in Minneapolis, so that Minneapolis stays a vital place, a vibrant place where people want to live in, raise families, do business in, and just engage in all of the great things that are here.
Can you tell us, are there different divisions within your department, or is that just all one focus?
Yes. So within regulatory services, there are 4 divisions within the portfolio. We have animal care and control, which is responsible for caring for the animals when they come into shelter, and also making sure that any sort of dangerous animals are taken care of, they're brought in, that they get the appropriate amount of training or reconditioning and socialization. We have traffic control and parking enforcement to make sure that our roadways stay safe and clear, accessible for not only residents and people to traverse on the roadways, but then also to make sure that first responders are able to get through in a reasonable time and address those public safety issues. The third one is inspection services, which it sounds really weird, but it's housing inspections, it's rental properties, commercial buildings, and vacant properties. And our housing liaison team is also housed in that division. The fourth one is operations and engagement, which is the backbone of regulatory services. They send out all of the letters and notices. They do our community engagement and activation, and make sure that all of the rental licenses and bills are applied on time so that people get their rental licenses and remain in good standing. And the fifth thing that isn't one of the portfolios is that I oversee the city's response to unsheltered homelessness. This is a multi-jurisdictional, multi-departmental collaborative effort, and it takes a village to drive progress in partnership with community with respect to our unsheltered homelessness situation we have here in the city.
Yeah, that is a big visible one. What is the project that you're most proud of?
You know, I've gone back and forth on this one, and I would say that it's not so much a project. When I first joined the city almost 10 years ago, relations were pretty tense with our Native American population. And what I've seen over the course of that time, and especially over the last handful of years, is there's collaboration, We are rebuilding trust. Metro Urban Indian directors and other Native American organizations, when they reach out to the city, I think there's this sense that I'm reaching out to my person and they are taking ownership, they're taking accountability for the issues that we are raising as a community about our relatives. Because I see those as my relatives too. So it's that relationship building is the biggest, most important, most critical project that brings me the greatest pride.
Yeah, you've definitely been in community. And I like I like to try to use this platform to introduce the folks who are leading the work at the city. So that is why I asked those first two questions: who you are, what you do, kind of how you got here. And it's great to have you in community, attending community meetings. There are folks who know you, folks who still need to get to know you, but definitely that relationship building and having you there is important and appreciated. And so what are some of the challenges that your team encounters?
We encounter so many different kinds of challenges, from illegal dumping to illegal parking. And what do we do with these different situations when something so innocuous can really cause all sorts of problems? When we see illegal dumping happening or just trash strewn about, that kind of devolves that community livability perspective, where we start to see some additional violence or gun activity or gunplay or other types of negative elements that just start to emerge. So when we take care of those different types of issues right away, it seems to maintain that balance with community livability and health and safety. Some of the other issues that we see are, we have some well-intended rental property owners and managers, and we have renters living in those different spaces. And sometimes those well-intended rental property owners don't have the knowledge, the subject matter expertise, or even the finances to be able to maintain the properties that residents are in. And it puts those residents in a really tough spot of, okay, I need someplace to stay, and this is what I've got. Knowing that maybe it's not the safest, maybe it's going to create some health issues for me, but this is what I can afford. This is where we are. So this is where our housing liaison team is able to come alongside each one of those different residents and the property owner to help find some sort of a win-win solution in partnership with the property owner and the resident, and bring along some additional resources to help find a solution for each one of them, so that we can avoid displacing residents without notice, and make sure that we maintain a good, healthy housing stock.
I think that is so critical. You're talking about moving from just being completely regulatory, coming in and enforcing code, but actually working to help find solutions to make it be livable and to not have people move out and get into a situation where they don't have somewhere to live. And I think, I don't know, do you know how long the city has had that approach? Because I don't think it's always been like that. I think at one time it was just basically just regulate the codes, enforce the codes. And
right, at least for the last 5 to 7 years, that's been the approach, to take more of an education forward approach to code compliance, because we recognize that, sure, somebody might learn from getting that ticket and having to pay the fine. We also recognize that the money that's going to that fine could be going to a repair. So how about we educate that person on not only what they need to do, but how they need to go about doing that work, so that those funds don't come to the city, they go into their property, and that we can make sure that the resident stays in a good quality spot. That's why we even offer a no-cost rental property owner and managers workshop, to make sure that anybody that decides that that's the avenue they're going to take for their own economic growth, they are at least aware of all the responsibilities and what is required of them, what the city requires of them, what the state requires of them, and more importantly, what the residents are going to require of them as property owners.
Mm-hmm. Is there, speaking of trying to find solutions instead of getting just automatically issuing a citation for things, even what we might think of as simply shoveling your sidewalk? Sometimes there are people who are elderly or have mobility issues. Is it your department that connects those people with agencies, volunteers, or is that another?
Yeah, so combination of it, specifically in the, it's winter time, it's snowing. When we think of sidewalk shoveling, it's kind of a partnership with regulatory services as well as Public Works. Public Works does the inspections to make sure that sidewalks are clear and that they're shoveled. And if they see that there are issues, they might notify us or even neighborhood groups to say, okay, this is an elderly person, or maybe they don't have the ability to clean their sidewalk. Is there some way that a neighbor could help out? Or is there a neighborhood organization that could come in and loan out a snowblower or bring over shovels and just clear that path so that that property owner stays in compliance, people stay safe, and they don't have to spend their hard-earned money, or even if they're on a fixed income, their money doesn't go towards a fine because they physically are unable to clear the sidewalk, and instead they can spend it on more important things while everything stays relatively balanced. Otherwise, when we think of like hoarding situations or clutter houses, we do have resources to help with that. Home repairs, where maybe it's an elderly individual or somebody who's disabled and they're not able to do the home repairs that are necessary for them to be able to stay in their home. We have programs to help identify those situations and resolve that, because the alternative is finding them until they might lose their home for non-payment of property taxes. And we're not in the business of taking people's property away.
Right. I think like unknowingly, I just like revealed something to myself. It's like, I wasn't even sure where that regulatory piece is between regulatory services doing housing inspections and the fact that like the sidewalk part falls under a different department.
Right.
So learning your city and who does what part of enforcement in your city is helpful to know who you have to deal with.
Definitely. And even though it's a different department, it's one city of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
We operate as one, and we do everything we can to make sure that from the resident side or the business owner side, it doesn't really matter who you're talking to. It's not the residents' responsibility to figure it out. It's ours. So we'll figure that out on our own and make things happen.
And also, if people have questions and they're unsure where to go for that question, they can call 411. And 411.
311.
Or not 311.
Yes.
The city's 311.
Hey, this episode is supported by the city of Minneapolis with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. And we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho!
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Bobby Wilson.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, this episode is supported by the city of Minneapolis with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. And here's our guest host, Christine McDonald. Ho!
Welcome back. I'm Christine McDonald, American Indian Community Specialist with the City of Minneapolis, and we are going to continue our conversation with Minneapolis Regulatory Services Director Enrique Velasquez. We're just about to talk about what does the homeless response team do?
That's a great question, Christine. So the homeless response team, it's a very small kind of task force oriented team. And really at the root of it, their focus is on engagement and building trusting relationships with our unsheltered residents. They do that through engagement tools, handing out snacks, socks, cold weather gear, hot hands, a variety of different things like that to build the engagement. And then engaging with them to do coordinated entry, intake assessments. The focus is on once you build that trust and build relationship, then we can help them navigate their journey towards finding stable, supportive housing and moving into it, whatever their definition of success is, finding that definition of success. So they go out and engage with people in a variety of different locations, in encampments, on city streets, in back alleys, in vehicles, every place that's unfit for human habitation, they go out and they identify the need and help try to address that need in partnership with a lot of other community partners.
What does that look like when you work with different community organizations or different even government agencies?
Yeah, so for us, it starts with getting notification that there are unsheltered residents in a certain area. That might come in through a 311 complaint. It might come in through our crime prevention specialists, MPD, or even one of the stand-up meetings that we have with a variety of other agencies and partners that are out in community and who observe that there's somebody who might be unsheltered, who needs support. That's what triggers the homeless response team to spring into action and to go out into community. They'll go out and assess the situation, help triage, and then depending on what that need is, they work with those individuals and find out, do they already have active case management? Are they working on an intake assessment? Are they waiting for housing? Do they need other services? And depending on what that response is, that helps us figure out who to engage with, either at the county or even other community partners like Agate Housing or Simpson or American Indian Community Development Center or Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, just to name a few of the different partners that we connect with.
What can people do if they're concerned about unhoused people in their neighborhoods? I mean, especially coming up this weekend, we're looking at severe cold weather.
Yes, so just kind of speaking of the severe cold weather, the homeless response team is out in full force, working with individuals to make sure that they're aware of all the different winter weather services that are available. So the city helps provide some additional resources, as well as the county, to the county, to stand up some emergency warming centers. So pretty much from middle of October to middle of April, we have these winter warming centers and additional emergency shelter operations that are in effect. So in conditions like what we're experiencing now, the homeless response team is out making sure that people are aware of them, how to access them, making shelter reservations, and even providing transportation. So other things that people can do is contact 211 after hours, or even help direct unsheltered residents to these different shelter locations or emergency shelter operations. And they're available in Northeast Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis. We have about 7 different warming centers around the city, specifically for this time of year and for these kinds of events.
I know in our community, we tend to see some of our organizations step up and either try to offer additional space, additional beds, additional chairs for people to come in and get warm. Do you see that happening with other organizations across the city, or specifically Southside, since we are talking mostly about like the American Indian community where that's the highest population is located?
Absolutely. We do see our community step up, and it's a beautiful thing to see. It's one of those bittersweet moments of, I wish we didn't have the need, yet while we have that need, people just dig and find the resources, they find the capacity, because even one person living unsheltered in a place that's not fit for someone to live is one too many. So let's really embrace community. Let's bring people indoors. Let's give them the support and everything that they need. And we see that time and again through community, through churches, through nonprofits, through our partnership with Hennepin County. Time and again, we see that.
Can I ask, so I know one of the things that we talk about in our meetings is like there's different populations of people that are unsheltered. Some who are looking for shelter or in between housing, and then some who are choosing to be where they are for whatever reason they've got. When it gets cold like this, do we tend to see like almost the whole groups of people that we see around town? Are they more willing to go into safe spaces, or are there still people who choose to not go?
Right. Yeah, it's a very hard spot, because what we see in certain instances is kind of that really tough choice.
Yeah.
Do I hold on to this addiction, for example? Do I hold on to what is keeping me bound in the space that I'm in, or do I choose to let go of that for this unknown of going to an indoor space and indoor housing where you're not allowed to utilize any sort of substances? And we see people who are struggling with that decision of letting go of one thing in order to move forward with something else that could be better, but they don't know, they don't trust that. So we do see some people that are still, for lack of a better word, they are sticking it out in the worst cold elements, because they're just not ready to move indoors. And all we can do in those situations is keep on showing up every single day. Even if they are belligerent, if they're angry, if they're not ready to talk to us, we keep showing up, showering them with love, providing them with whatever services and whatever support we can provide, whether it's blankets, cold weather gear, other things, until they are ready to make that decision, make that choice for themselves.
Yeah, I guess that goes back to that whole relationship building in community and having that homeless response team consistently in community, consistently engaging with folks. So when it's hard times like this, when it's going to be severely cold, hopefully there's some trust that's been developed and they'll be willing to go and seek shelter in a safe space.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing about having the homeless response team out in community on a regular basis is they get to know faces, they get to know names. So when somebody is suddenly no longer there, or we just lose sight of them, we have a team that is able to go, hey, where did this person go? Where are they? Did they go indoors? We haven't seen them in a day. And then they can start asking other unsheltered relatives what happened, and try and piece together where they might have gone, because we're demonstrating care. We care about them so much that even their absence is significant.
Thank you. One of the things I wanted to be sure to ask before our time's up tonight is what programs are available to people who are at risk of losing their housing?
Sure. So although those specific programs aren't necessarily part of the regulatory services portfolio, I can mention that there are some basic information that the city has invested in, specifically through another department, community planning and economic development. There's Stable Homes and Stable Schools, which gives monthly rental payments to help for families experiencing homelessness. And since 2011, the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund program has awarded nearly $183 million in Minneapolis housing, helping build and stabilize thousands of affordable units. And Hennepin County also offers support for things like repairs and preventing utility shutoffs, for example. So you can access that line by calling 612-596-1900. And to learn more about how to apply for some of the city programs, contact Minneapolis 311. That would be the best avenue.
Thank you so much, Enrique. I really appreciate your time and the information that you shared with us this evening.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Christine,
much.
and thank you, Robert Migwich.
Thank you very much. Hey, up next, Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Thanks again. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter